What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Diaries podcast. I'm Michelle Morrow.
And I'm Miss Harvey. How are you, Michelle?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. Yeah, this has been a crazy week in gaming, hasn't it? Like, there's been a lot that's been going on, like from playing games to the Game Awards to games coming out. I feel like this was a busy week.
Yeah, it was. Actually, I feel that no matter how busy the week was, I feel that you only played WoW.
I did. That is true. I only played WoW. I played like a tiny bit of Hearthstone and a little bit of Animal Crossing, but mostly it was World of Warcraft. We had to get ready for the raid. Like, raid week was this week, and the raid drop, Castle Nathria. It's like hands down the best raiding experience since Lich King. It's so much fun. And the raid is really cool. It's like this, for those who have played Warcraft, it's like Karazhan, which was this cool haunted house thing that I loved. It was like my favorite raid back in the day. Meets like, I don't know, it's like a vampire. It's like the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. It's like you walk in and there's actually like a ballroom of vampires like dancing in the sky. It is so cool. Yeah. But we downed 3 bosses, which is huge right now. Like, this is like the hardest day 1 raid that's ever released, pretty much, for at least in a long time, for a while. So the fact that we've got 3 down was like a really big deal. So I had to like bust my ass to gear up, and luckily, like, my guildies totally carried me and got me enough gear so that I would be ready. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've been having a lot of fun with it. What about you? Did you play anything?
Yeah, Cyberpunk came out.
That's right.
So I played a little bit. Well, I didn't look at any trailer. I had no idea what to expect. Because I mean, I've played the Cyberpunk dungeon game, a role-playing game, right?
Right.
And I know about the universe and everything, but I've never actually like got into the whole game series that's happening right now. So I was just, riding the wave, bought the game, downloaded it, and then I started it, and it's freaking Fallout, Michelle. I don't know if you've played any of the Fallouts.
Fallout series? Yeah.
It's like Fallouts to me. It's like a better version of Fallout with like actual animation that makes sense. Because Fallout was always like, you always forgave Fallout because you thought that the world was so crazy big.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's okay that it kind of sucks graphically and that the characters are like robots and whatnot. You're like, it's okay. But Cyberpunk is like a regular game. So it's like it's like as good looking as Assassin's Creed, if not better looking at some instances. But it's like Fallout. Like, you have choices and you have like factions and you're doing like a bunch of open world quests that are like crazy, probably procedurally generated because they seem to be infinite, So there's a lot of things over there that I'm impressed.
I like that. I like when there's a lot of choice in the game. Like, there's stuff to go do. That's what I really like.
It's stressful. I've only played like 3 hours, and they say that the tutorial's like 6. So I've only played 3 hours.
It's a long-ass tutorial.
Yeah, I guess it's like the tutorial of your faction, because you pick like right at the beginning of character creation what faction you're in. But Max here, he's playing it right now. He's like super deep in. Like, he went to bed at 3 a.m. And for those who knows, Max is like the responsible one that's in bed at 11. So it's like pretty intense for us to be in that station where he's really into Cyberpunk. So I like it. But there's so many games that came out.
It's like a perfect like time right now for Cyberpunk to come out. Yeah, like, this is actually our last podcast until hiatus. We're going on hiatus for a few weeks. So we're going to have a lot of time to play games. Like, maybe I'll start Cyberpunk during this time too.
I'm super,
Are you guys playing on PC?
Excited. Yeah, we both bought it on PC. So that was a good chunk of money. I think it was $80 Canadian. So it was like a good old $160 just because we want to play at the same time. But It's available everywhere, but also I think you can buy it on Good Old Games. So let's say you and your husband would want to play it. You can buy it on Good Old Games. It's their platform. It's the company, the production. Wait, the development team from Cyberpunk owns goodoldgames.com. So you can
CD Projekt Red. Oh.
Yeah. So you can buy it from there, and then I think you can, like, you and your husband could play it with one copy on the PC. I think that's the way to do it.
Is there any multiplayer in it, or is it just all single?
Right now it's only single, but they kind of teased multiplayer. But to be quite frank, with the amount of time that this one was delayed, I wouldn't say, like, even if they said it in 6 months, the multiplayer is coming, it could be a year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm not really counting a multiplayer at the moment, but eventually, potentially. So it's also something you might want to consider buying 2 copies in case you want to play multiplayer together. Yeah.
Mostly because I think it's a game he would really like. He's never played any of that before, and I think it's something he would really enjoy. Maybe I will get it for him for a Hanukkah gift because today's like day 2 of Hanukkah. So usually I go out and I get him stuff for every like day. Like I'll make him just stupid stuff like underwear from like MeUndies or, but I can't order anything to the house because he'll see it first. So maybe a copy of Cyberpunk is a good idea because he will not, he can't see that. Like,
it's pretty cool. I've been playing the game like you play World of Warcraft. So I'm like reading every single thing, and I'm like not skipping any cinematic, and I'm like, I don't even skip like the ride in the car. Like I'm just like a passenger, and I'm looking around the city, like, so I'm taking my sweet ass time in a game that's gonna take me hours.
You should take your time, enjoy it. Like that's what the developers want, right? They built this rich world.
Yeah.
They want everybody to enjoy it.
One thing I have to warn everyone at home, it's pretty heavy and demanding on the computer. It is not optimized at all. So if you don't have that good of a computer and you own the new gen consoles, you should probably get it on consoles. If you're a PC master race, then get it on the PC. But like we have top of the line PCs that we bought in 2020.
Yeah, and
he's barely running 60 FPS. And I'm trying to stream it at the same time, and my CPU is overloaded. Like it's written 100%, even everything at low. So it is kind of poorly optimized. Like,
isn't there a thing too with streaming? I was reading like there's you have to be careful with streaming the music in the game, right?
Yeah. So they are the first game that I know of that they have an option. If you're a streamer, you can activate that option, and then all the music in the game is going to be DMCA free.
Smart.
So, crossing fingers, because yesterday or 2 days ago on the day of release, they said that they forgot a song in that thing, and they would patch it. So it wasn't 100% DMCA free, but anyway. Thing is, like, that the whole thing is a Pandora box when it comes to that. It's pretty scary that Twitch in 2020 still hasn't found a solution for DMCA. I'm like super.
That's gonna be like the first of. That's gonna be this problem. But next, I think at least the next problem they're gonna deal with is gonna be wiretapping and child privacy laws, because if you're talking on stream, if you're like in a group with somebody like a multiplayer and somebody is broadcasting your voice without permission, in some states it's completely illegal. And if you're under a certain age, that's like what Alexa is dealing with Amazon. They're in a huge lawsuit because kids would use like the Echo Dot in their bedroom, but if they're under a certain age, Amazon's not allowed to record them. So there's a big lawsuit that's going on for that too. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of years, sort of like what Twitch has to deal with all these broadcasting regulations and whatnot, like streaming music. I mean, nobody ever really thought it was a thing until you're realizing, wow, that's actually going out to millions of people.
Yeah, I think that Twitch here, I don't know. Okay, so we're not behind the scene. Like, we are all our friends at Twitch, but honestly, the legal aspect of it, even our friends that work at Twitch are like not really in the loop. But
yeah,
like for me, this is why I talk about this in the media all the time. Right now, we're in a reactive society that honestly, these are some problems that we should have known better. And right now we're all asking for forgiveness and like trying to make things. But to be quite frank, I doubt that Twitch wasn't aware about DMCA. They just like kind of didn't want to deal with it until it exploded. Same goes for what you just mentioned about recording others and whatnot. I think that they are piling on the fact that they're a multi-billion-dollar industry now, and they're gonna get away with some and try to forge the law around their platform. But
I think you're right. It's kind of like that old Facebook motto that was move fast and break things. They didn't really care about what the regulations were. They just wanted to get it done, and maybe they'll figure it out later, you know?
Yeah. Because right now you don't want to shut down Twitch. If you're anybody in the world, you don't want to shut down Twitch.
No.
But at the same time, like,
need some fixing. Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm super upset about these kind of things.
I know.
It really, really pisses me off that we're still in 2020 in a reactive environment instead of being in a proactive one.
Yeah, I agree with you. We really are. On another topic, did you watch the Game Awards at all?
No. Oh yeah, let's talk about this. Give me some scoop. What happened?
The Game Awards were last night, and it was pretty much a Last of Us like sweep. Last of Us 2. It took home like every award, like Game of the Year, everything. I mean, any big award, action adventure game. Let me see here what else it took. Best performance. Laura Bailey got it as Abby in The Last of Us 2. I mean, it took home so many awards. It was crazy. Best art direction, though, went to Ghost of Tsushima, and best action went to Hades. But best narrative went to Last of Us 2. Best multiplayer was Among Us, which totally deserves it.
That's so random. That's the game that came out in 2018.
Did it really come out in 2018?
Yeah.
Interesting that would win for 2020.
I know. I'm so confused. I don't understand Games Awards still. I think that
Nobody does.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Nobody does.
It's such a weird, like, hype award more than, like, I don't know.
I agree with you. It is a hype award. It's like, it's kind of like popularity and a lot of,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is that. It definitely is that. But like my friend is the one who puts it on, Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
I think he does a great job with it. And it was good to see how they changed it a little bit this year because of COVID. People can't. I've gone in person to the Game Awards several times, and it was cool to see them. It's because it's here in LA, but like it was neat to see like how they had to kind of change it because of, you know, their production value was still fantastic. But like when people were accepting the awards, it was really cute. There was one, I think it may have been for narrative for Last of Us. The guy was like sitting in his house, and then outside the window was another girl, and she was like, "Hello." And he's like, This is my coworker, and she's also my neighbor, and she's just like standing outside. It was funny, you know. Or they had like a team together, like 3 people, and then like someone on a phone, like they were like on the phone, FaceTiming or whatever, video call on a video. It was so meta and weird, but
we should teach them about the OBS virtual camera so that they can have multiple cameras.
They should have actually. Actually, that would have been a good idea. Best esports team went to G2.
Oh wow! What a coincidence! Wink, wink.
And, oh. I think that was a hint for our story, to our diary entry today. Best esports host went to Shox.
Oh yeah,
she's amazing.
Yeah,
she does like a lot of League of Legends stuff. For those that don't know, best
Earn
esports
Machines
game.
Are my favorite. I think Machine might have won.
Machine was up as well for best esports host.
Yeah.
Nominated.
Amazing.
So was Golden Boy. someone named Dash, who I don't know. And
Oh,
someone
yeah,
named
he's League.
Shriver.
Oh,
Shiver?
Shiver. Yeah, I'm hosting. Well, I'm not hosting. She's hosting the DreamHack Showdown next week, and I'm on the desk.
I saw
Woo,
that.
woo, woo.
How fancy.
First time I work with Shiver. That'll be great. She's from Dota, too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Best esports game went to League, and best esports event was League Worlds 2020.
I mean, what else was there in 2020?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Call of Duty was up.
Rainbow
Overwatch
Six,
League.
I guess?
I am Katowice. Is that how you say it? Katowice?
Yeah.
I've
Katowice.
never known how to Katowice. Best esports coach went to a CSGO guy, Danny Zonic Sorensen.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Astralis.
Best esports athlete went to Hio Showmaker Su, a League of Legends.
Oh, okay. That probably is from Korea or EU. Well, probably Korea or Chinese. Not
Content
NA.
creator went to Valkyrie. I think that's a girl.
Ray, she's amazing. She's from 100 Teeth.
Okay, cool.
She exclusively signed with YouTube this year, so she swapped to YouTube.
Wow.
And like Michelle, like 4 months ago, she got like her all-time peak concurrent viewers at 20K, and then now she has 100K every day.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
like
crazy.
She was already top tier, and now she's like, pew.
Way up there.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard of her. Yeah. So there was the Game Awards. There's a lot of really great categories, and they did a lot of world premieres too. Like always, the Game Awards is always like world premiere award, world premiere award. Like it's like way more like marketing, but it's a good thing. Like I was most excited for Ghosts and Goblins. They're doing a remake of that game. It was old.
I've never played it.
So it was basically, and people who have played it might agree, it's basically like the first Dark Souls from like 1986. It was on Nintendo, but is the hardest game. Like people still to this day talk about how difficult of a game that was.
Really? Okay.
Like, it's stupid. I actually have a piece of artwork from it that is, it says die 1,000 times in your underwear, because you're a knight. And you get one hit, and then you're just running around in briefs like tidy whities, like trying to save the princess. It's pretty great.
That does sound like Dark Soul and
It's
Demon
impossible.
Soul. Pissed me
so
off.
much
I
time.
hate the game.
Yeah, and when I played Dark Souls, I was like, this is as bad as Ghosts and Goblins. Like, why would I play this? Like, and I quit Dark Souls on like the first boss, like that first like mini guy that you beat.
I quit. I think it was who came first? Demon Souls came first, right?
I think so.
Okay, so I quit Demon Souls in the freaking tutorial, Michelle. I got stuck one eye or the tutorial. It was like a graveyard. I couldn't get out. And I was just like, fuck this game. Threw my controller away. Never played again the whole series. I don't want to hear any of it. Okay? I don't care if they got better or they got worse. I don't care. This is the series I'm never touching again. Amen. Oh la la. In the tutorial.
And it wasn't, have any of you guys quit during a tutorial? Let us know, because that's legit. That's when you know it is a hard game.
Yeah, and it was the old school tutorial, not like the new ones where it's integrated and it's part of your experience. No, it was like, this is like super easy. Just get out of this room and then start like roaming around. And I never got out of the fucking room. Oh my god,
that's crazy. All right, guys, we're gonna take a quick 30-second break, and then we're gonna come back at you with our diary entry of the week.
Welcome back to the Game Diaries. Michelle, it's my week.
It's your week. I'm so excited for your diary entry.
Today, I want to talk to you. I'm not going to jump much. Oops. I'm just jumping right in. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Carlos, Ocelote, Rodríguez, Santiago.
Yay!
Yay!
his team just won.
His team just won at the Game Awards Esports Team of the Year, so it's pretty hype. G2, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to talk to you about today that is going to feel weird for me because I'm part of CLG. So I'm going to give a lot of props to G2 and what Carlos has been doing, because he is pretty awesome. He's a funny one. He's a fiery person, and we like it. So let's talk about Ocelote a little bit. First of all, he's Spanish.
Yes.
And you know that Spanish people are known for their kind of like Italians, like their temperament and their expression and emotion, and that's kind of like what Carlos is, to be quite honest. He's
passionate.
Extremely passionate, extremely outspoken. And if you have Twitter, you have to have seen at some point something about Ocelote, because he likes to play with that Twitter world and that like kind of entertainment, and he does it so well. Whether it's to say like crazy things like to encourage and boost his ego and his team's egos, and we know it's kind of sarcasm, but it still works in a way.
Yeah.
Or the opposite, kind of like a couple of weeks ago, he just mentioned he was a teamless and he was looking for a new org because his team lost, but it's hilarious because obviously he's not gonna leave G2, so he just plays around. Do you have a lot of people like that on your Twitter? Because I know you're also pretty vocal on Twitter.
Yeah, like I like that. I like when people just joke around. Twitter used to be a place for jokes. Like in the beginning, Twitter was a fun place to be. It's not as much anymore. It's like overly serious and everyone's angry. And now I really enjoy when people still have fun with it and, just be silly. And he's one of those.
He is. You know that if you follow him, he's full of sass. Like, I'm going to open his Twitter right now, and I think it's just like today's profile is a picture of him as if he was running for president of Spain or something. He's always kind of playing around. And in his description today, okay, in the date of Friday, December 2020, he has 97.3% of the tweets in this account should be taken lightly. That's his description. So I think it's hilarious.
Awesome.
So a couple of things. I want to drill you with a couple of facts about Carlos right away. First of all, did you know that Carlos was the first esports pro turned millionaire?
No, that's a big achievement.
That's a big achievement, but I had to dig a little bit because I thought that was Fatality, which we might talk about.
I thought it was Fatality as well. Yeah.
But when I dug, first of all, nobody ever contested that he wasn't the first millionaire, so it's possible that maybe he wasn't.
Someone else is. Yeah.
But I think it's by salaries earning. That's where he based that from, because Fatality from salaries as well as esports tournament earning, as far as we know, is close to $500,000. Really early, like in the late 2000, early 2010s, that's where he made most of his money. And then he started around that time as well, Fatality Gaming, and then pretty much, I think, probably became a millionaire from his company. But the difference here with Ocelote that I understand after my research is that Ocelote was paid about $1 million in salaries. Early at the end, at some point in his career. So he was probably the first millionaire from like just a salary, a contract, and earnings, while Fatality was from his business ventures. So that's how I understood it. So that's my little asterisk on that quote, okay?
Fatality's listening, being like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And when I dug, obviously now there's a lot of esports millionaires, especially with Dota 2 having like just their prize pool being so crazy. But Carlos was one of the first, and one of the first to be vocal about that kind of stuff, which right now there's still a lot of hidden, contracts, and we don't know how much the players are making and stuff. It's not like in sports.
Or like sponsors or.
Yeah. So I don't know since how long you've known about Ocelote. I think you did an interview.
2 years.
Yeah.
I interviewed him. I can't remember. I was trying to think about it. Like, I may have interviewed him with Bleacher Report. I got to think back. It's been like 4 years. So,
yeah. So I was looking at how far Ocelote's career, as least known in esports, was. And I think his first professional contract was about 10 years ago, but he was there before that. So he was playing CSGO. He was playing World of Warcraft. And then he was signed for the first time as a League of Legends player about, I think, 2010s. So I'm saying he's old school, but in a way, there's like a couple of generations, right? In esports. Yeah. He's in one of the early ones. 10 years is a long time to be in esports. But he started after me. So that's why I saw his progression a little bit. Because he's, you've been around for so long, you know everyone, you see a new face, and, you get to know him a little bit better. So it's definitely not the Ocelote that we know today that started 10 years ago, at least over a little bit of a decade ago. So it is a coming of age story that's super, super interesting. And if you still don't know about who I'm talking about right now, you might have seen a Spanish player playing League of Legends with a scarf.
Yeah.
He has over 100 scarves that he uses. Does he really? Yeah. It is so that. European for me. It's it's Ella European, and I love it. I love scarves. I'm someone that has a lot of summer scarves, winter scarves. Obviously, I'm from Canada, so
you need that for the brisk weather.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would melt with a scarf here.
You don't. In LA, I use summer scarf a lot.
It can't. I mean,
because at night, I hate having like the wind on my neck. I just hate it. Yeah. Yeah. So I like this little summer scarf to make me feel this
little ascot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel that's how Ocelote is, because at every tournament, he has a jersey with a summer scarf to protect this part of his neck. So it's very European.
Interesting. Yes.
I like it a lot.
It's very good. It's very good for you. Like my acupuncturist always tells me to wear a scarf, because letting the cool wind hit your neck isn't supposed to be very good for you, I guess.
Damn, there it is. Ocelote and I are visionaries. Yeah. Or LT.
Yeah.
I was
visionaries.
We were pretty lucky with this this topic today, Michelle, because there were so many interviews of Ocelotes. And with the technology that we have today, Chrome Translate, even the Spanish interviews or the German interviews, I was able to kind of dig in and look at it. So I'm going to reference a lot of interviews today that are not in my original language, but I use the little Chrome Translate.
Yes. I did the same thing with Kaguri. Worry not. I was like, this is all in South Korea, and I have no idea. Yeah. Google Translate is very much helping the Game Diaries podcast.
Right?
Yes.
We could not have done this 10 years ago.
Without that, yeah. At all.
Okay. So one of the interviews that I found, a lot of it are like older than 5 years too. So it's very fun to be able to dig into these archives, because he's been around for a long time. So on Cuatro.com, that's one of the Spanish website that I used, he talked about how good he was at CSGO, but you're going to be so happy to hear about this, Michelle. He actually was really good at World of Warcraft. So good that he played in the BlizzCon finals in 2009 in LA.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yes.
So he was arena, or was he like
rated? 3v3. So I have it. So if you see my screen is blasting,
probably watched him.
It's because I opened Wikipedia right here. I just wanted to make sure I didn't mess it up. But he was actually playing 3v3 at BlizzCon 2009.
Dang.
So I think
do you know the name of what his threes team was called?
So his team name in 2009 was called WOAH, WOAH, and it was composed of a German player and 2 Spanish players, so Inflame, Kai, and Ocelote. And it wasn't the only Spanish team there. There's 2 Spanish team, X Intense. For those who might have known, they were pretty big in CS. So out of the top 8 teams in the world, 2 of them were Spanish. And he was on one of them. And that team seemed to have been orgless. So it seemed like it was just like a team that played together for the event. But it's kind of insane to think about how he started with that his pro career.
Was that how his pro career started? Was
kind of
Arena? Was Warcraft 3s?
Yeah, because I think he would have stuck to that. But, I don't know if you remember then, World of Warcraft was definitely there, but it wasn't like a top game. It wasn't, pros in World of Warcraft were not.
It's never been
killing
like the top
it.
esport. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's
it
not
was
like
just
they make tons of money from it.
It felt like Blizzard and World of Warcraft just wanted to kind of create a little side tournament about their stuff, right?
Something kind of fun, right? They had StarCraft.
It was fun. I loved watching those, but it wasn't
So
like
fun.
a priority, right? So the same year in 2009, the beta of League of Legends came out. And I don't know if you remember these days, but everyone in esports jumped into the League of Legends beta. So I have a League of Legends beta account. Like everyone just wanted to be in because we all played Dota 2. Well, Dota, not Dota 2. Yeah. We all played Dota, but on
which
the
was
Warcraft,
basically Warcraft.
Yeah, on the Warcraft
was.
Game, we played Dota All-Star. So he pretty much got the League of Legends beta. We all knew that this was going to be the superior game, so we all got it right away early on.
It's interesting though, right? Like that Warcraft sort of like created this opportunity for a whole other esports generation to exist, even though Warcraft never really became a major esport. But its existence laid the groundwork for esports, for MOBAs. They never existed before Dota All-Stars was in Warcraft 2 and 3, which is wild.
Yeah, I think that Warcraft 3 at some point was more popular than StarCraft. Or I wouldn't say more popular. I wouldn't say more popular, but there were big Warcraft 3 tournaments because I remember WCG, World Cyber Games in Korea, had a world tournament for Warcraft, and at the time there wasn't StarCraft. But maybe I'm wrong, guys. Let me know in the comments. This is all coming out of my memory, and I'm not Torin the historian, so sometimes I make some mistakes.
Torin the historian.
Yeah, he would not make that mistake. He would know.
He would
exactly.
Not. He would not.
But okay. I do remember I played Warcraft 3 in 2005 on a TV show as like the top single player.
That's so funny.
Strategy game at the time. So I assume it was bigger at some point, at least in North America, than StarCraft. That's all. That's all I remember.
Makes sense.
I liked it, by the way. I liked it because you had an hero, you could control it. I love that.
Yeah. At that time, were you playing the Dota part of it, or were you playing like just straight RTS?
No, I never played straight RTS, but in that show, I had to learn real quick, real fast. But I've always only played Dota, and then later League of Legends. I've actually never played Dota 2, which is very interesting.
In full disclosure, either. Yeah, it looks really hard.
It looks really hard, and that's all we're gonna say.
It's very difficult.
But I don't know why people, as soon as they were done playing CS, we would jump in a Dota game. It was like part of our culture, and I do feel that Ocelote, and as well as WoW, we were all playing Dota, WoW, and CS, and I feel that Ocelote was part of that culture in Europe because he played CS. He mentioned CS a lot, and he says, he was sort of a pro in WoW, and then jumped into the beta of League. But at the time, we couldn't make money out of esports. Let's be real. Then it was not like it was today. We're talking 2009, 2010. So when the beta came out, Carlos quit the scene for a little bit to finish his studies. At the time, he was studying economics, but he came back in 2010 because he got signed by a Spanish team called Dimigio. Okay. I feel that if I was Spanish, I would say Dimigio or Hola, hablo español. Creo que le Nombre de la equipo de coros es Dimigio. Okay, I got it. I think it's probably Dimigio.
You just spoke like a whole other language. Like, how many languages can you speak? Like, I barely understand.
Barely one. Okay. And for those who know about esports, SK Gaming from the early 2000s, I think, yeah, the early 2000s. I'm trying to remember exactly when they were born. But yeah, the early 2000s was the biggest team in the world. SK Gaming was what G2 is today, I guess. You know, it was everything that SK touched was gold. They had their own social media. You wanted to create a profile on SK Gaming website because that's how you scouted teams, players. Like, there was a database on the skgaming.com website for all the tournaments that was across the world, the results. Like, it was a mix of like esports earnings, Wikipedia, Facebook, Twitter, all into that website. So SK Gaming's website almost 20 years ago was worth millions already, which we can talk about the downfall of SK Gaming at some point. Not that they're not relevant anymore, but it's definitely not the empire that it was then in esports. Right. I was on SK Gaming from 2005 at the end of it until 2010. So Carlos joined SK Gaming close, if not about when I left. So we kind of like crossed paths. And I think that's why I started like hearing about him, because he joined SK, and at the time I started my own org, and then we kind of like met over there. Not really met, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
aware of each other.
Yeah. So he got signed by SK in 2010, and he said in an ESL Gaming interview that got out about 4 or 5 years ago, he said that League of Legends seemed to be fresh. It seemed to be like a new beginning after, quote unquote, not his failed attempt. I don't want to put words in his mouth because he didn't say that. But, you know, he kind of, a little bit like what Valorant people are thinking about coming from other scenes. Like, he saw the opportunity to become the first legend in League of Legends. Haha. No pun intended.
That's funny. Of course.
Yeah. So he thought, why not? So he, about the SK Gaming pickup, he said, I felt I could be someone important in this industry, and League of Legends was a wonderful tool to get there. When I was asked to join SK Gaming, I knew I deserved it. It was just a matter of time to prove it. So he was kind of unknown at the time, but he was already ready to be the confident man that we know that he is today. Let's just say that.
He's very confident. Yeah.
He's very confident. And early on, that confidence was actually used in a different way, because most people said that Carlos was toxic.
Really?
He was super loud mouth, and he was even banned multiple times by Riot.
Oh my God.
Because of his toxicity.
What was he doing? He was just like
talking shit. Yeah. And you know, Riot has been one of the first, like, as far as I can remember, now more and more companies and tournament organizers have respect and honor as part of their rules. But in 2010, at the beginning, honestly, you could say whatever you wanted and you would have absolutely no repercussion. But Riot at some point said no. They said, like, you can't do whatever you want. We're trying to be a real business here. We're trying to have professionalism, so you can't just like say things like that.
Pop off. Yeah.
And he get banned. And he said in an interview with ESPN, if I fucked up, then I fucked up. I couldn't go back, but the best thing I could do is not fuck up. What's the second thing I could do? Well, learn and move on. You know, so he was kind of that way. Even though he got banned and whatnot, he would stay around and learn and be better, even if it took him a little bit to understand that. So part of SK Gaming, I think that he was really the fire that drove SK Gaming's success, as well as in the game, but outside the game. He really realized super early that his personality and drive was earning him a lot, because thousands and thousands of people were watching him and wanting to watch him after you know, all the drama that he would put out. In a German business insider interview, this is one of the one that I had to use the Chrome Translate. He is so quoted, in ancient Rome, I would have been a gladiator.
Oh my God.
Because I love to entertain people. And I think that's hilarious because he's kind of small. It makes me laugh to say that
that's funny.
He would, well, he's not small, but he's not like, you know, a basketball player.
WWE wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. But he was always an entertainer at heart. And even in his childhood memories, again in ESPN, he mentioned how he was the clown who got kicked out of class, but he would see his teacher kind of like smirking, although he would get expelled from the classroom.
Oh my God.
So he was always being super intense. And you know what? Already in 2014, in an interview with the Spanish network Telecinco, he claimed that he was already making $500,000 from merch sales and streams alone.
Wow.
Not even salary, tournament earning and whatnot, just from his fiery personality.
Wow.
And I think that's, in 2014, I think that the streaming network was completely different. I made a killing on streaming because we were like not a lot of people and the numbers were inflated, like everything was crazy. But to be making that on merch and streams alone in 2014 is quite impressive.
It's insane. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So he caught the key esports dynamic very early on in his career. And for him, what made esports was just not the action. It was everything around it. From that article, esports-news.co.uk, so a website in the UK, aside from the action, it's really the players, the storyline, the rivalries, and the character development. While at SK, he understood the importance of having rivals and bringing drama to the game. Michelle, I don't know if you've seen that video before, but one of the best known moments in the League of Legends history was the 2013 incident in Poland at Katowice against Fnatic Enrique Expeke Sinino Martinez, one of the most famous rivalry against Carlos. Have you seen that before?
I have not. No. Okay. What happens?
We have to watch it. So I'm gonna just get it right now. It's important. It's a history moment. So for those who are watching this at home, let me just show you real quick. So Michelle, I don't know if you've heard, first of all, like the Justin Wang Dago video, where there's a crazy comeback. So there's some moment in esports you have to have watched. Like that's just some movies in the world you have to have seen in esports. This video is one of them. In League of Legends, the goal is to destroy someone else's base, the opponent's team base, and whoever destroys it first wins. There's a concept called backdoor, where you're ahead in a game, but one of the characters try to finish the opponent's tower first. And that's kind of like a crazy moment that barely ever happens. It's quite spectacular, and usually pro teams don't get backdoored.
Right,
This is at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. At the time, this is a bigger tournament than the Worlds event. And this is SK Gaming versus Fnatic, two of the biggest team in the worlds that honestly have a rivalry in CSGO in like so many games. This was XPK versus Ocelote, which is already like a huge drama. And you know what? Let's press play. Tell me when you're ready. So what you see here is that SK is in the lead and is trying to finish. And then XPK, who's almost dead, is in the base of SK Gaming, and he's dodging every single attack.
Oh my God. And
he's backdooring and finishing.
Oh my God.
And we have to leave it there because look at the reaction of the players.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen that League of Legends hype in a long time. Like League of Legends is more quiet now. They win, they stand up, they bow.
Look at this.
But look, Ocelote here is
How
crying.
is he on that core like that and not being killed even by the core itself? Oh my God.
Ocelote is crying. This is one of the biggest moment in esports. It was in front of thousands and thousands of spectators in the crowd. I have shivers just looking at this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Holy cow.
So XPK's team won that. And at the time, XPK was kind of like the preppy boy. And Ocelote was the bad boy, right? And well, as far as I remember, that's how it was a little bit then. So to see that Ocelote was heartbroken, vulnerable, like SK Gaming is not happy, and
His
I don't
scarf.
know.
Aww.
This is just when looking back, this is for me like top 5 esports moment.
Definitely, that's really amazing.
There's over 1.5 million views on that clip alone. So imagine like all of the other clips and whatnot. Like this was a very famous moment.
That feels so good when you're able to pull that off. Like,
yeah.
Especially in a pro game. Like I did that for Heroes of the Storm. We did like a launch event thing. And it was the only time I've ever played on stage. And one of the guys on our team, So Hinky, he backdoored and on Apather and he basically won the game for us. Like we just kind of held the attention in the middle and he was just going and doing it. And it was amazing because we were down by, I think, like 3 points or something. For sure thought we were going to lose. And that backdoor saved us. Like, but it's such a rare feat to pull off, especially with people who know what they're doing. Like, I'm not surprised he could pull it off on the like level we were playing, but like on a world stage like this at IEM Katowice, which is one of the biggest tournaments ever, like especially at the time, it's pretty amazing.
And the thing is that XPK was also Spanish. So
right,
it was like, it was so
the
huge.
rivalry was just like really intense and
And the Spanish community calls that moment the El Clásico. So if you're from Spain and you hear about the esports moment, El Clásico, it's referred to when XPK backdoored Ocelote. Like I don't even think we call that moment Fnatic backdoored like SK. It was just like the mountain of all the drama coming into that moment. It was quite impressive.
Yeah.
And
wow.
And you know, when he gets asked about this moment, can you imagine in interviews and stuff, always getting asked about this moment? But he said to ESPN, I know exactly what I would do differently. Trust me, I've played that through my head 1,000 times. And that was like an interview about 5 years ago. So I can't even imagine now. But
he probably still gets asked about it.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. It was probably a very important time in his career because then after that, XPK would go on and form his own organization that you might have heard of. It's called Origin. And Carlos would leave SK later that year to form his own as well, called Gamers 2, now known as G2. So that was a crucial moment for both players' career. And at the time, if you looked at both teams, Origin and G2, because of XPK's kind of crazy moment, you would think that, you know, he had a little bit of an edge maybe in starting his own organization. But like, you know, if you had to bet on an orts, maybe you would have bet on Origin. But if you look at it now in retrospective, holy moly, Carlos has been killing it in his new role since 2011 and 12. Yeah, okay, so this was 2013, and he went on to leave SK and launch Gamers 2 at the end of it and by 2014.
Amazing.
And this was just the beginning for Carlos because in 2014, he met the former ESL CEO, Jens Hilgers, who invited Carlos to speak at an event in Barcelona in 2014. Casually in a conversation, Carlos mentioned that he wanted to start his own team. He's just like, I want to start my own team, blah, blah, blah. And I think that in 2020, I'm not quite sure what that means, but back then, players didn't really want to venture. They just really wanted to get signed and play. There was not a lot of businessmen and women, let's be real.
Right.
But turns out Jens also wanted to start his own org. So he was like, you know, he was a German serial entrepreneur and he founded Bitcraft Venture, world's first and only esports VC. And he also ESL, the largest esports tournament production and marketing company. So he was doing a lot of those, and he got very interested. Jen's bio on LinkedIn is building companies and making ideas become reality is what I really love. Outstanding user experience, agility, transparency, sustainability are the core principle of my daily work. I'm a creative thinker, problem solver, and quick learner. I team up with ambitious and smart people of upright character. Let me just DM Mr. Jens Ilgers real quick, Michelle, so I can start smart.
He gets it.
Yeah, he seems quite an awesome human. So he saw how ambitious Carlos described himself, and he wanted in. So he helped him out. Again, in a 2015 interview with ESL Gaming, Carlos described the regimented lifestyle that keeps him focused. Start in the quotation. He likes reading books, waking up early, going to bed early, running, playing football, paddle, taking a dip in the swimming pool, meditating. I have a really healthy life. I don't really go out and party, but when I do, I assure you it's unforgettable. More than quantity, I've started to search for quality in my life.
Nice.
That was in 2015. Can you imagine how avant-garde he was for an esports person?
Oh, that's like when everyone was just trying to figure it out. And he had already figured it out.
Yeah. And he has this kind of mentality even in the game, right? So in the same quarter interview that I talked to you about first and during this story, Carlos, he knows he's not necessarily the best one in the server when he comes in, but he focuses on being the best one in the server. So he tells himself, I'm the best one in the server. Nobody can beat me, even if the stats shows otherwise. And he thinks that's a necessary to win, to know that you are the best, even if you're not the best, to think that you're the best, even if you're not the best, because you have to have that confidence. And you know, I always think about how you need to respect your opponents and whatnot. And I think that was actually a problem in my career when I started respecting my opponents too much. And I kind of agree with them. You should always see people as like, you're better. Doesn't matter if you're losing right now, you'll win this game, you know, because
sportsmanship or whatever.
Yeah, as long as you respect the opponent, as in like your words and in your outside of the game. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But in the game, you should always think you're the best, I think.
100%.
And you should always focus on being the best.
Otherwise, you're never going to be the best. Right?
Yes.
I mean.
And I think that's something that too often, when you're saying we should respect everyone, we should treat everyone the same, you sometimes lose that passion of like, I'm the shit.
Which you need. I mean, and that's what's so enigmatic about him, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what draws people to him, is that passion and that confidence that he's got.
And the hashtag G2 Army is that. It's founded on self-confidence that is like a thin line between self-confidence and cockiness. But the way he creates that thin line for me, when I look at it, is that it's his ability to also laugh at himself. Yeah. Like he's not just cocky and then kind of upset when he loses. He's cocky, and when he loses, he'll laugh at himself.
Right. He's not an asshole. Yeah. Or maybe he's just like grown up and learned from back in the days when he was banned all the time.
You're right.
He's like, maybe I need to calm it down a little.
I'm looking at my notes, and I found a couple of Twitter posts where, just like I mentioned, like a month ago, he declared himself as a free agent, and he got like thousands of likes on his Twitter about laughing at his quote unquote failure. It's not a failure. I hate to, that's why I say quote unquote failure about losing. It's not a failure to lose, but it's the only word I could think about as a competitor at the moment. But he laughs about it all the time, but he also, as in his bios, you might see it left and right, he'll mention how G2 is the greatest esports organization in the world by like miles, you know? So he'll like also have this cockiness everywhere. And he won the Personality of the Year in 2020 at the Esports Awards. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that. I didn't see the Esports Awards winners.
That's awesome.
He deserves it.
Personality of the Year this year at the Esports Awards. And he won Team of the Years at the Game Award. 2020 for him is like everyone is like not okay. And he's here winning awards. Bam, bam, bam. He's like 2020 was amazing.
Whatever, 2020. I loved it.
Carlos told Evan Global last year that I've maintained that gladiator mindset, whether that be through winning, streaming, doing great plays, lineup changes that nobody expect. And he says also for content pieces, we always intend to break the norm with the kind of video that we create. And I have to say that this year with their League of Legends lineup changes, their announcement videos were quite impressive.
Yeah, they were.
Because I don't know how they pull it off. You know, I work with CLG and, well, I know how they pull it off, but it requires time, money, and like a turnaround of we're not talking days, we're talking hours. So they're quite impressive. They seem to have the backing because recently Forbes listed them as the 8th most valuable esports organization in the world.
Wow.
And despite bringing just under 20 million, the org is valued at $175 million.
Damn.
That's insane. That's insane.
That's a lot of money. Holy cow.
And let me just add up on top of that, just so that you can like say like, oh my God, what have we done with our life? Is that in late 2019, Alibaba co-founder and billionaire Joseph Tsai. So for those who don't know, Alibaba, biggest company in China. They own pretty much everything. If you use an app like Wish and whatnot, this is all Alibaba. So he invested 10 million into G2, allowing them to open a New York office. So I don't know if you saw that news, but I feel that Ocelote is kind of wanting to live the American dream a little bit because he wants a New York office. He wants to take on that city. He thinks that he can't believe how no org has claimed New York and everyone is kind of in LA and San Francisco or Dallas.
It's true. Yeah.
I have to say that technically CLG has a New York office, and I think he mentions that in his press release because I remember reading that. But he says that we haven't pushed it the way he wants to push it. So he really is thinking that he wants to own New York. So bring it, Carlos. I can't wait.
Yes. Do it. New rivalry with
CLG and Nate. So Rodríguez obviously like the idea of taking on New York. He says, I like high energy. I like high octane. Monday morning, bam, bam, bam. Everybody's working.
Yeah. New York's the place for him.
New York. Exactly.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
He often reflects as a player and he thinks, you know, he's a very aggressive player and it looks like that's how he is as a businessman as well. He says that sometimes he might even be too much aggressive or mindless aggressive in his Event Global interview, but I think that's how he envisioned his content creation. He writes, that's how I envision brand partnership, chairing the ownership group, raising aggressive capital. I'm super aggressive. I find it interesting. I think in the moment in esports, it's probably the way to go. And from what we're watching and seeing, it seems like it's working. For me, I always say in the esports world, 1 year is like 10 in sports. In 1 year, like think about it a year ago where we were. Obviously, COVID has changed a lot of things, but we're talking about Ocelote 5 years ago as if it was 20, 30 years ago, right? In any other industries. But it just happened. 5 years ago is like yesterday in any other industry. But in esports and online, it's not. Like, it's literally decades. So the way he's doing his ventures for me is really respectable. And that's how I always say, like, you wait 6 months in esports and you're already out. You kind of have to do things fast. Yeah, it moves so fast. In 2016, Carlos became a father.
Oh,
Yes.
baby Ocelote.
Baby Ocelote. And in my research, I couldn't find much about his family, but I actually know his girlfriend or wife. It's his wife. Because she used to be a Counter-Strike player. Her name is Princess, and we played against each other at tournament multiple times in France because she was part of some French teams, if not represented France quite a lot. So it's very awesome to see kind of sometime glimpse
like
of
a two pros get together. That's cute.
Yeah, she has since retired, as far as I know, from gaming. I think she was part of the CS:GO or CS French community for very little time, and then she met Carlos, and then they started a family. So it all kind of became kind of quick. But yeah, so that's not in interviews, but I know that personally. So I wanted to share it. He seemed to be really private with his life, and her as well. They don't post much. Which in a world where, you know, you're a millionaire, you're married to a millionaire, you probably are doing whatever you want. I kind of find it extremely respectable because, well, I don't know if respectable is the right way. I find it really cool that they keep that personal private life. Although Carlos is super vocal, is everyone's social, you know, he stays
he's in his brand though. Like he stays within that like box of it, you know, instead of sharing all the rest of it. It's hard to do, and it's really respectable that he's able to pull that off.
That's really, really awesome. And in an interview with Unicorn in 2016, so as you can see, we're moving up in his career. He said that in G2, we strive to religiously follow our core principles, regardless of the situations. These are values we use to answer all the questions that occurs in our day-to-day. And due to the youth nature of the industry of esports, it's almost impossible to foresee what's coming up next. So it's a little bit what we were talking about. For that reason, the only way to be able to act with consistency is by following these values. They act like a map for us. And you know what? So I've been in esports for soon 2 decades. And I've seen orgs fall and come. And even while working at CLG right now, I think this tip of advice is priceless. This is something that we're actually currently working on without a little bit too much making it about CLG. Having these core values and not caring about anything else is what allows you in that fast turning world that, like you mentioned, like everything, like one day, the next day, people do things, everyone want to pivot, new game comes out, it goes crazy. Like the problem is if you follow that wave, you're always behind.
Yep.
Always. You're always behind because you're trying to catch up that wave all the time. So you have to have your own North Star that tells you, here's what my values, here's what I'm trying to do. And even if there's a crazy wave out there, if I try to catch it, I'll be too late anyway. So let me focus on the things that I care about and I think matters for me. And in the end, I might reach an even bigger wave because I'll be ahead when it comes. It's surf. It's legit surf.
It's so true. Yep.
So if you're listening and you're thinking about that for your own brand and your own org, this is a priceless advice for esports because unfortunately, you only realize that when you're missing the wave.
That's so true. I think that's what we've seen over the years, right? Like when this influx of money is coming in, it's all chasing wherever. And that's why I think we see a lot of things like get a ton of money thrown at it and then fail. Because, and we've seen that time and again from like that direct TV tournament that we talked about, DJ Wheat, to like up to now, like you see people throw giant amounts of money at it and then, but they're playing from behind and by the time they catch up, it's changed. It's over. So yeah, it's great advice. I mean, I see you doing it. Like, I think the way that CLG really, it seems like you guys are really leading with like talking about diversity and having like those conversations. That's something that I don't see everybody doing. And I think you guys are kind of like at the top of that, like from my point of view. Maybe just because I talk to you all the time, but like I do feel though that you guys are like on the top of that wave, like pushing those programs?
I think we are. Side note, personal note, if you're here about Ocelote, I have to talk just a little bit about my stuff right now. But
yeah, please.
I think that we were that org when I joined, or before I joined. We changed a lot. We got bought by MSG. You know, we had to realign. Everything kind of is moving. The pieces are all moving apart. Are all moving, and I think we were that kind of person. Like people were we were trying to catch that wave that was already like other people were surfing, and throughout the year with a lot of the initiatives that I started, as well as the new management, we are thinking kind of that hey, what is our wave? What do we care about? And that is diversity, charity, making a difference, educating youth, and we are jumping into it at Zon. So that's going to be our wave. So we'll see where that goes in a couple of years. But you
guys are on the top of that wave, you know, like you're riding that. Like there are people who will be catching up to that and being like, oh, whoa, we're behind. You know, it's important though, to set that standard.
I think so. And I think that we realized that it didn't matter if we didn't have the biggest influencer. It didn't matter if we didn't have XYZ. And you know, I'm circling back to G2 because it fits right where I'm at with this diary entry. But he's also sees himself as a father figure. Yes, he's a businesswoman, but he can make himself available at all the time.
Businessman or businesswoman?
I said businesswoman. Oh my God. See, I see myself in him so much that he became a businesswoman. He's a businessman. He gets called sometimes at 2 a.m. some players, and they talk about problems and whatnot. But for him, it's about his core values, like we said, but of entertainment, you know? And he always teaches his players that because it's a fan-central culture. Even if you win, you need to cultivate these fans. That's the reason why we get paid, is you win and then you entertain, you have fans and whatnot. But if you lose, you have nothing else if you don't have the entertainment. True. You don't have the entertainment and you lose, you don't have the fans, you don't have the support, you just lose and you lose on everything. Yep. So he explains that a lot in Business Insider, an article that came out recently. It shouldn't depend on if you finish first or third. Sometimes you will win, sometimes you will lose. But you always have to entertain, no matter what, winning or losing. And also in esports, on the same topic, he's quoted saying, the growth of the industry goes hand in hand with my goals to make G2 the most accomplished. Yeah, we want to win, but entertainment media company in competitive video games. And that's where I want to circle back with what I said about CLG, is that one of the problem is that as soon as you start losing, CLG started losing in 2020 in League of Legends, although we've had a tremendous history of winning. 2020, we start losing, and then you become irrelevant in one clap of hands. Yeah. People don't remember last seasons. People don't remember your achievements. It's not like sports. Esports is not like sports. You can't ride the dynasty without the entertainment. You can't sell tickets locally to a stadium, even if you're last. And I'm thinking that, I'm looking and thinking about, for example, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Canadian Montreal, which are two of the most expensive NHL hockey franchise. And they were so bad for so many years, and they still sold out tickets almost every game. Esports is not like that. You will lose your fan almost instantly if you don't create another value for them to like you.
Yeah, I'm from Washington State, and although the Mariners, the baseball team, were always a big deal, the Seahawks were not always a big deal with football.
Yeah, I remember.
People did not care. I never went to a Seahawks game my whole life, and I went to college in Seattle and grew up in Washington, and we watched football growing up, but no one cared about the Seahawks. They always lost. It didn't matter. But then it changed. They got a new stadium, they got different players. Like, it became more of an experience for the fans to be a part of, and now the fans like consider themselves, a player almost of the team. Like, Seattle's fandom is like through the roof now because they built out that entertainment around their league, which they didn't really have before. Like, the Mariners kind of did because they had like the Griffey legacies and stuff, and Alex Rodríguez was on the team at one point. But then when the Seahawks got some real star players and really like, went all in with like the community, having the players show up at like children's hospitals and do a lot of community service and connect with the fans, that's when the Seahawks became hugely successful. It's so true.
And I'm I'm with the MSG, the Madison Square Garden. We have the Knicks and the Rangers. Like, it doesn't matter where the Knicks are on the ranks. It doesn't matter where the Rangers are on the ranks. Of course, it helps if they're winning, but there's so much more to that. And I think that in esports, it's very recent that we're thinking about it that way. Before, it was excellence first, then everything else. How many orgs and teams did I hear we want the best? We don't want just any team. But I think it's not as important anymore. It's about, the winning mentality is important. Like, striving to be the best and having the resources to be the best. But like he said, you will lose. There's no way you won't lose at some point. Like, dynasties that never lose don't exist. It's not true. You will lose at some point. So you have to have a strong foundation to make it better.
It's a big argument too for like, it makes sense of why content creators are so important within that scene, because you really do build out the fandom of the team itself. Because even if the content creators don't play like professionally, they are building up the fandom for the players themselves. Yeah, it's interesting.
I feel that, I don't know if you follow Valorant at all, but do you know the streamer Myth?
I don't. Oh, no, I've heard of Myth before. Okay. Yeah. So he was big in Fortnite, right?
Yeah, so Myth is a Fortnite player. He's huge on Twitch, and he's from TSM, which is considered that Forbes article I was talking to you about, where G2 was 8th, TSM is 1st, according to that article. Yeah. So he's part of TSM, and he created this persona where he watches the TSM Valorant team play, and he's Coach Myth. And he just watches the tournament, restreams then, and he just sits there and pretends to be a coach. And that created like the biggest hype for the Valorant competitive team that TSM is around. Like, people watch the Coach Schmidt experience, and like that's TSM fun. Successfully did that, and I think even created some hype around Valorant in NA just from like the Coach Schmidt kind of stuff. So
bringing in a Fortnite audience,
exactly. So I think that it's so important to think about these kind of things. Yeah. It's quite awesome, and I'm super involved into like these kind of experience. And ultimately, like Carlos always says, that he sees G2 as a startup. He shared with esports that his fulfillment in his job comes from being a constant state of growth. Every time something goes wrong, we pivot and double down. Every time something goes right, we double down anyway and try to keep that momentum, keep that momentum up. And he says there is never a time for relaxation where we get to enjoy a job well done, which I think is hilarious because it's not sustainable. But
no, it's not. But you should enjoy it. Yeah.
So, what can I say about that?
Such a hard industry. Everyone is so hard on themselves. It like literally, I've been in a lot of different fields in my life now at this point. And I got to say, esports, even compared to like acting and entertainment, esports is so hard on itself. Like, is super the players are hard on themselves. The coaches, like everybody just... It just doesn't feel like there is a moment to really take it all in,
I totally agree.
Yeah. You guys are hard on yourselves.
Yes. And Carlos, I'm butchering his name. If you're listening to this, Carlos, at some point, I hope that maybe I had to pronounce it Carlos. Carlos is fine.
Roll the R.
But we talked about Valorant. They just picked up a Valorant team. Well, earlier this year, not just picked up, but they're called the best League of Legends team in Europe, according to Sky Sports, even after their run at Worlds. And they picked up their 7th EU title by beating Fnatic again. And Carlos thinks that Valorant will overtake CSGO. I don't agree, but I do agree that Valorant is going to have a pretty big space. If it does overtake CSGO, I think it's not before at least 5 years. But I
haven't played Valorant yet.
Oh God, don't worry about it.
I feel like I should at least know.
You should try it.
I've watched it, but I haven't played it.
Have you played CS before?
I have, but I'm not. This is just super not my kind of game.
So,
but like, Valorant seems a little bit more, I don't know, cute. Like, there's a little bit more of a cuteness to it that I like. Am I wrong? I don't know.
It is just as competitive as CS, but the thing that I found with Valorant, especially in the lower level, is that you don't need to be that great of a shooter to get kills, which unlike CS.
Yes, that's the thing, is I cannot aim like that. Like, I just can't.
But at the higher level, it's exactly like CS. Like, it's like the skill gap is super high. But at the lower level, sometimes I would play with people who are shooting at the ground, killing people, and I'm just like, I don't know how he's doing it. That wouldn't work in CS. Like, that would be bad. But it feels like it's more forgiving.
Yeah, CS seems really precise.
Yeah.
I found it really stressful when I played.
Yeah. And Carlos loves Valorant because of that. Each character has a lore background. He quotes from GG Recon interview. He says, "We humans are very empathetic by nature, so we want to know about these characters." And that's kind of true.
Yeah.
Especially in Valorant, there's a lot of quotes. If you've never played it, there's a lot of like interactions between the characters that are automatic.
I love that. Yeah.
And sometimes they're creepy. Sometimes they're hella creepy. Like, there's this guy, Cypher. It looks like he's kind of borderline a pedophile.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God.
He's not really a pedophile, but he like talks about other characters. Like, I took something from your arm to create some camera. I hope that's okay. You know? Like,
oh, wow.
He's kind of like that. So it's very interesting, but I like it. I like it a lot. But, you know, Carlos just is someone that keeps it real, even with this Twitter bravado and Shark Tank business mentality. The key to everything is just to be happy.
Yeah.
Yay. That was my Carlos Ocelote Rodríguez story. And like all the stories we talked about today, it's probably just the beginning for him.
Yeah, that's the thing with esports, man. We'll do this story again in like 2 years and he'll be at a completely different place. Like, there'll be, you know, he'll have taken over New York, hopefully, at that point.
Yeah,
you know?
Right? I bet.
And we'll see that rivalry.
We'll see how CLG was able to fight against Ocelote in the G2 takeover of New York City. But no, yeah, it's quite awesome to see what he's doing with his team. Like, he has one of the best CSGO team, obviously, one of the best Rainbow Six team, now Valorant, League of Legends. He's everywhere.
That's awesome. That was a great story. There was so much about him that I just wasn't aware of. Like, I know about his personality and how silly he can be, and I know about G2, obviously, but hearing like how he built it and how he got to this point was really awesome. Thank you so much. What a great diary entry. Yeah.
Thank you, guys Carlos, for a nice life.
Yeah. I feel like I'm gonna wear a scarf later just in his honor. If you guys are listening, please make sure that you subscribe on whatever platform you are listening on, and go ahead and leave us a review or a comment. We love reading them. We read them every time. We share them with each other on our Discord. We get so excited. And rate us if you can, like the stars or the shares, whatever. We love it all.
Love it all. And if you have a story that you'd like to share with us, remember that we are also reading listeners' stories, because you guys have also great stories that we want to talk about. Some of them were giving me shivers. So I can't wait for the first one to make me cry. So submit your stories. We just really want to talk about your experience as well. That's why the Game Diary is there. So you can submit those on thegamediaries.com. come to submit your love letter to gaming. Michelle, this was our last episode of 2020.
Yes, it was. And we're going to be on hiatus for a little bit, guys, but keep attention to social media, and we'll let you know when exactly we'll be coming back. So we're so excited, and guess we'll see you next year.
Yay.